Good morning, everyone. I have been so absent lately, and it feels really great to pick up the camera again. I filmed throughout this week, and I just can't wait to share with you. Lately, YouTube was the rubber ball that I needed to let bounce, and I needed to get the kids going on school again and healthy meals on the table. Plus, we had our fall clothing switchover with all the cooler weather coming in, so we've just been busy. This morning I'm going to get a couple loaves of sourdough going. One thing that I have learned about myself and sourdough is I like to do a lot in a few days and then kind of put my sourdough starter to bed. So I have my starter nice and bubbly and going, and I'm going to mix up these 2 loaves of bread, and they freeze really well, so you don't have to, eat them right away. So while I mix these up, we can chat a little bit. So we have done a lot of outdoor work outside, but we had a week of thankfully mild rain from Hurricane Helene that slowed us down. It was just so hard to get out there. And progress has happened very incrementally. And it just wasn't a lot of great footage, just like 10 minutes here or there after work, right before dark sort of thing. Also, I think I've just been feeling kind of reclusive. If you're in America, I think that maybe we're all feeling some added weight. A friend shared a meme that said, "What's wrong? You don't like pumpkin spice, wartime, hurricane, election season?" And it has definitely been true for me. So hopefully things calm down a little bit, and it just feels really good on this morning to mix up some sourdough and just do something very simple. I've also really learned to love bread recipes or any kind of dough recipe that calls for weight instead of cups and all of that. It is so much easier to just throw a bowl on a scale and just go through and pour your ingredients in. It makes a lot less dishes overall, and I have definitely come to prefer it. This bread recipe only requires me to do 2 sets of stretch and folds, which only takes about an hour. So after this is mixed up, it sits for an hour, and then in 2 30-minute increments after that, you come back and you do a stretch and fold, which is not hard to do in the mornings when I'm kind of just around doing chores, helping the kids with things. So this is definitely a winning recipe in our book, and it freezes very well. So here's my leftover starter. I'm just going to stick this on the counter, and I will feed it again tonight and do something else with it tomorrow. We spent a lot of time outside working on projects this week, and this one is our paver patio. This is a gravel that you put down, and then we put sand over it and then put the pavers over it. I say it was mostly my husband, just since I'm kind of limited in my capabilities, but the kids have just loved working alongside of us, and it's so fun to see them pushing their little wheelbarrows around and just wanting to be a part of it all. We also messed up the grass back here, so we had to rake this out and replant some grass seed. Hopefully it's not too cold and this will still come up, but we'll see. Maybe we'll have to do it next spring. Put that back. So this is a couple nights later. I pulled this loaf out of the freezer and just put it in the oven at 200 and just kind of forgot about it for a while. And so we came in after a long day of working outside. I made a really quick soup that was sort of a white chicken chili. I just used what I had available. It was sort of a blend of the 2 recipes that I normally use for white chicken chili. But it filled bellies and it was good. And it's really nice to have some buttered bread on the side just for picky kids who might not fill up on the soup otherwise. The next project I'm going to tackle is making these homemade candles. So here I have this big bag of beeswax that I got from Amazon, and I've put about half a recipe into this melter. In hindsight, this melter is very small, and I will definitely want a bigger one if I get serious about this. But I'm also going to add coconut oil as well as cocoa butter. And the cocoa butter I got from Azure Standard, and it smells amazing. I wish you all could smell it. I did try to follow some basic safety rules for this recipe. I got wicks that were specifically made for burning in beeswax, and I did end up splurging on actual candle jars because I've heard that mason jars or whatever jar you can find in a thrift store, that sort of thing, can actually be a little bit risky because they might not be rated for the heat and you just don't know. So I did my best to be safe with this. Over here is our appliance corner, and it is still a mess because we are awaiting shelves. So you'll just have to excuse this. I have a big pot of yogurt going in the Instapot, and it's just kind of a mess over here. But I am glad that we have this little offset counter so I can safely melt this wax away from the toddler. Putting the wicks in was actually a really easy process. I will link what I bought down below because I was really pleased with these. They come with these stickers that you can put on the bottom of the jar, and the first one I tried to put the sticker down and then put the wick down on top of the sticker, but I wised up pretty quickly and realized that I could just stick the sticker on the wick first and then lower the wick into it. And then they also had these neat popsicle sticks that have a hole in the middle. So you don't have to worry about bending the wick and spinning it around a popsicle stick. I sort of just put it through the hole and then folded it over, and that worked really nicely. Now this wax did take a really long time to melt down. I think between the 6 candles I made, it probably took me 2 or 3 hours of melting wax, and most of that was hands off. I was not able to sit here and stir it, so maybe it would have gone faster, but yeah, it took a long time. But it did cook down quite a bit. I'm showing here that it cooked to about half the pot, so I wonder if I could get a bigger batch in the future, but yeah, I was very surprised by how long this took. Okay, here are the finished candles. This one is burning right now. I'll show it to you in a moment. I did these in 3 separate batches, and I tried to improve as I went because I noticed that they were tunneling pretty badly. And I read that this happens if your wax is really hot and then it cools too quickly in the jar. And our house was pretty cold. So after I did the first batch, I saw that they were tunneling, and I tried to wrap these ones in a towel, which wasn't super effective, nor is it super practical if you want to make a really big batch of these. I don't know how you would wrap them all in towels. It's not like your canning jars when you want them to cool slowly, because they've got the big old wick sticking up, so you can't just drape it. So this is my last batch, and this was probably the best one. This one was still, I mean, it's still tunneled, but it tunneled less so, and I think it's because it was pressed up against these warm candles and wrapped in a towel. It made a big difference, but I'm wondering, as far as a efficient strategy, I bet I could put these in the oven with just the light on, kind of like you would for bread to rise. And I wonder if that would create a warmer environment for them to cool very slowly. So anyway, if you make candles, you have a good strategy, I would love to know. Or if you think that that's not the problem, let me know what I did wrong. Yeah, that's so bad. So the one that's burning, this is the one that it is burning now. And I had to light it twice because the first time the wax melted and snuffed it out, but now it's burning pretty well. I was hoping I could get it to burn all the way out to the edge and sort of fix the tunnel, like level the whole candle out, but it's been burning for hours and it has not reached the edge. So I don't know if that's feasible, but it's an effective little candle. It works. It was not a bad first attempt. The next day we broke ground on the garden, and I will show you more of the garden and what it's looking like right now towards the end of the video. But yeah, my husband tilled most of this up. The next thing that I am working on is making a homemade chicken bone broth. I have actually never done this before as far as trying to get a very gelatinous, like gut health beneficial bone broth. I'm following the homesteading family tutorial for this, and these are chicken backs and frames and whatnot that I got from Azure Standard. The pack I bought came with 4 packs like this one, and it seems like I'll be able to get 2 batches from each pack. And we have a very curious dog here. The recipe encourages you to soak the chicken backs in the water and apple cider vinegar overnight before you set it in the Instapot. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show you the results, but I will post them in the community tab when I complete this project. Also, this lid is amazing. All right, and to close out this vlog, here is a quick garden update. We are laying out the rows of the garden. So the plan is to have a fence going all the way around, and then to have clean walkways between each row. And then there's only going to be about 6 planting rows. The back will be open to an asparagus bed and a strawberry bed. And then over here is a bean tunnel. This looks like a mess right now, but it's gonna be good. So we're gonna do a cardboard layer to help kill off the grass. And then we've got our compost there. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get to plant my tiller radish this season. So we might have, some pretty dense soil. I do expect to kind of battle with the soil for the next few years, but we're hoping that if we can at least get the infrastructure laid, then that will at least minimize some of our problems. So we might even we've been talking about lining these beds with something and then putting some sort of medium, I guess, on the walkways, but I haven't decided what would be best. So if you have a suggestion, let me know. My worry with something like gravel is that it will eventually get into the beds and it would be really hard to alter anything. I don't want a bunch of rock in my beds. I've considered hay maybe, and I've seen people do sawdust. I've heard that sawdust can alter the nutrient composition of your beds if it gets in there, but if it's just on the walkways, I don't think it would be a huge issue. And then of course you have to factor in availability. So I don't know if we can get sawdust at an affordable price. But yeah, that's where this is at. I hope to be a little bit further along, but honestly, it is what it is. And there's really no rush now that we're not worried about getting the tiller radish in. And then here is our kids' new speedway. They love this thing. That's the best place for them to ride their bikes. But this is our little patio, and it's not perfect, but it is very useful and functional, and I'm so grateful to have it. So now we can move our grill and our smoker and all of that off of our driveway, and we can sort of get some organization going out here, because right now it just feels like there is stuff everywhere, projects everywhere, and it's really nice to finish something. All right, thank you for joining. It is cold here. Not super cold, like maybe high 50s. And I'm gonna go back inside and finish dinner. I will see you all in the next video.